All right, folks, here we go. We are at Pinecrest Drive in Lakeland, Florida. We are going to be kicking off a video.
Yep.
We're going to be telling the story of our family's history here in Lakeland, Florida.
Yes, there's been a lot of trips that our family has taken through this generation and then past generations, going back a long way.
So we live north, about 1,200 miles north here in the United States. But this is where our history began, here at Pinecrest Drive here in Lakeland, Florida. My grandparents moved here. I was born in 1982, and then in February of 93, they moved here, and they moved here to this street here. And this is where it kicks off right now, Pinecrest Drive. All right, can everybody see us here? All right, we are going to give a little recap. We're going to give a little synopsis of our family's history of coming here to Florida.
Hold on, I want to show them. I'm wearing the new T-shirt I got.
Yes, and I changed, and I don't have it on. I like it. We got matching. This is my son, my oldest son. We got matching Walt Disney World T-shirts when we went to Disney Springs the other day. But I want to give just a little recap of kind of our history, our family's history. Not only to coming to Florida, but actually Lakeland, Florida. Lakeland, Florida, if you don't know where that's at, if you look at a Florida map, it's almost the dead center. Central Florida, right on Route 4, which goes from coast to coast pretty much. Right between Tampa, it's a little closer to Tampa than Orlando. About 30 minutes, you could be at Walt Disney World, about 30 miles or so. 20-some miles, you could be at Tampa. And, of course, Orlando's on the other side of Walt Disney World.
So since he knows more about our family's history from before I was born, for this part, I'm just going to let him get most of it. I'm just going to sit here and listen. So I'll chime in after a little bit, a little bit later for some of the history I was alive for. So
okay. And actually, I'll start it. Sounds like a funny story. It actually started when I was born, but it actually did. Yeah, there are some people coming. How's it going? I was born in November of 1982. 3 months later, my grandparents actually, my mom's parents, decided to move here to Central Florida. They actually moved here to Lakeland, Florida in February of 1983. So beginning that, and I was able to come down here. I was only 3 months old. I just know the story. And beginning that summer of 83, my family spent the first 2 weeks of July in Florida. My dad was always, that's his work, he was always off first 2 weeks of July. So from 83 to 2002, we pretty much did not miss a first 2 weeks of July to come here, not only to Florida, but actually right here to Lakeland, Florida. And got a lot of great memories growing up, going to Walt Disney World, Epcot, Clearwater Beach. We had different times we'd come down and maybe an aunt and uncle would come with us. I have an aunt and uncle on my dad's side that came with us in 1989, and they live in West Virginia. They came down with us. When I was a teenager, 2 different times, I brought a good friend. One of the friends actually turned out to, when I grew up, to be my brother-in-law. I married his sister, and he lives here in Lakeland now with his family. So from 83 to 2002, Lakeland, Florida was kind of like our summer retreat. If we got 2 weeks off, this is where we came. Unfortunately, in 91, so about 8 or 9 years after we started coming down here, my grandfather passed away. My grandfather had some health troubles. That's why they moved here, to get away from the north winters. And they came here. He passed away in 1991, but my grandma decided to stay here without him, and she continued living here until 2002. So throughout the 90s, throughout my teen years, we came here. I think 2 years we missed coming, which I believe was the summer of 99 and the summer of 2001. And the only reason we did that is because my grandma actually decided to come to where we live up north for the summer. And so she wasn't here, so we didn't come visit here. And the last time I was able to come here to visit my grandma was in the summer of 2002. I was 19. My brother's family came down, his kids were born. I was not married, of course, and I was a freshman in college. I came here with my parents, 2002. And that was in the summer, July, of course. September of 2002, my grandmother passed away, and my mom and her brothers, they decided to they came down after she passed away and kind of packed our house up and sold our house because there's nobody else here. Sold our things, took some stuff home, of course. And so kind of that chapter of coming to Lakeland, Florida was closed. My grandparents had passed away. I did have an aunt here, but as far as coming down, spending 2 weeks, 2002, that ended. And I really thought I may never be back to Lakeland. The following September, 2003, I got engaged. I was in college. And then that following summer, 2004, June of 2004, I got married. And so, you know, it's been 2 years since I'd been down here. My wife and I decided we were going to come to Walt Disney World for a honeymoon. She had went as a little girl.
We went to Myrtle Beach for your honeymoon.
We did.
Second honeymoon.
But originally, we were going to come to Florida. We wanted to go to Walt Disney World for the entire week and see all the parks and stuff. My wife had not been since she's a little girl. However, due to some scheduling conflicts, it did not work out. We ended up going to Myrtle Beach. And that was it. So, once again, I didn't think we were going to come back to Florida. We still wanted to do that Disney trip. So the following May in 2005, my wife graduated from college in Virginia, and then I went ahead and booked.
Remember, we visited that college just on this trip.
We did, and so we went back, and and so 2005, May of 2005, we came back to Lakeland. We came back, visited my aunt and uncle, but we were going to Walt Disney World, of course, and we spent a week there. We didn't have any kids. We loved it, and so 2002, 3 whole years passed before I came back to Lakeland, and that was just for one day while we were going to Walt Disney World. Once again, didn't think I'd be back in Lakeland again. On the way home from that Disney trip, though, I mentioned we went to Myrtle Beach on our honeymoon. Growing up, that's where my wife kind of went on vacation. That was her go-to spot, which is
just like how Florida was your go-to spot.
Florida was my go-to spot. We'd been several times, both of us, and so we decided on that way home, on that May 2005 trip, before we had kids, that we were no longer going to come to Florida or Myrtle Beach. We were going to go see places we had never been. I had never been really to Chicago. Farthest west I had been, it's like Ohio. I had never been up New England. I had not been like to Texas at that time. And so we decided on that trip, on the way home, we drove home, that we were no longer going to come to Florida. Not because we didn't like it, because we'd been here, and I'd been here several times. So the following year, 2006, that summer, we went to California. We kind of met our goal of going someplace we'd never been. Went to Vegas, California for the week. Had a great time. But something changed in January of 2007. So that's 6 months later. 2 things happened. Number one, we found out this guy was coming. He'll be here in the fall.
Yeah.
And my parents retired. And my parents had lived near me up north. And they retired, and what did they do? They bought a house in Lakeland, Florida. Also, that summer, since my wife was very pregnant and did not want to go anywhere else, and we wanted to see the place my parents had bought, we decided to come down here in the summer of 2007. That was 3 months before he was born. And that would have been, he was born in September of 2007. So, I had come all those years until 2002. Then we skipped 3 years, came back for one day, and then we had really skipped another 2 years, and I came back again. We didn't come in 08. 09, my work allowed me to have a second week vacation. So we decided, you know what, we still want to go to those other places we hadn't been to. New places, because really we'd set that goal. My wife and I had set the goal in 05. We hadn't went anywhere else other than California in 06. Come here in 07. We went to Myrtle Beach in 08, which made no sense because those are the places we didn't want to go.
Because
we'd already been several times. So in 09, we came here for spring break. Brought a couple of Gary's cousins that were younger teenagers at the time. We stayed here in Lakeland, had an awesome time. 2010, my wife's pregnant again with our second son, so we opted not to go to Florida that year. We came back in 11, and we also brought another one of my wife's cousins.
Yeah.
And
that was my year. That was my first trip to Disney World.
That was his first trip to Disney World. Yeah, we went.
I was young.
We went in 09, but he was so little. We didn't want to take. We wanted to enjoy our own selves. Plus, we had some other cousins with us, so we took them. In 11, we took him for the first time, and that kind of kick-started a tradition. We come back in 2012 for spring break. Went to Disney again. Actually took. I don't think did we take our little one there? Did we take Brady there?
In what year?
In 12.
No, he's only been twice. 2018 and
yeah,
13, 14. 14.
No, we didn't come in 13. So we
From
went
14.
So we came back here in 07, 09, 11, and then 12. 13 we didn't. We went somewhere else. I actually went on a Route 66 trip with my dad and kind of took this vacation week, so we opted not to come here in 13. And then 14 started. We've come in here every year since. We come in spring break of 14. We come in 15. We come in 16.
2 times in 16.
Yeah, 16. We added Christmas week.
Oh, and in 16, we also brought along our me and Brady's great grandpa, which is our mom's grandpa.
Yeah, we did that. We did that in
brought him
16.
along. That was
for
that
spring
was a lot
break.
of fun.
Come back at Christmas and surprise my parents for Christmas. Right after Christmas, a day or so after. Spend a week between Christmas and New Year's here at 16. We come back in 17, and that year was kind of a different thing. My wife's a teacher, and we were able to bring some students down with us. She teaches at a small private school, and so their class trip was to the Bahamas. So we came here, dropped the boys off at my parents', and then my dad took us, and we picked up a cruise ship at Port Canaveral and spent a week in the Bahamas in 17. We come back at 18.
Summer of 2018.
Summer of
for
18.
2 weeks. Oh wait, we need to explain. On a different video, we'll explain our 2-week mega vacations. But for this one, we'll just lightly dip our toes in.
Starting in 15, we started doing what we call a mega vacation. Kind of, the term come from him.
No, I thought it came from you.
Taking a vacation, but actually taking it in 2 weeks. We'd never done that
I thought
before.
They came from you.
I don't really remember.
I don't remember
One of
either.
us came up with the term mega vacation, and that was 2 weeks vacation. We did it for the first time in 15. We went to California, and then we skipped in 16. We went to Wisconsin, Minnesota, but only for a week.
Yeah, that was with our grandma and our great grandma.
That was in 16. In
Came along with us on that one.
17, we went to Colorado
That
for
was
2
a
weeks.
lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun. But then in 18, we thought, you know what? We haven't been to Florida for 2 weeks. It's kind of a relaxing time.
We've just been mostly going 1 week for spring break and then taking those other 2 weeks in the summer to go other places.
So we opted to skip the spring break in 18, and we came here for 2 weeks in June of 18. And my parents were not here. They live here, but they're snowbirds, so they don't live here in the summer. And we went to Walt Disney World for a day. We went to Universal Studios for a day.
That was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Before then, I loved the Disney parks, but I hadn't been for 4 years, for quite some time. So I wasn't too big of a fan. I liked watching their movies, some, but I wasn't as big of a fan. But after that, it sparked my.
It sure did.
Well, it sparked my fanaticism for the Disney parks, and I became a fanatic. I would always talk about it. I would do research about it, watch videos on YouTube about the histories of rides and stuff like that.
So that was the summer of 18. At Christmas, we decided to come back again. We come back between Christmas and New Year's in 18.
Yeah, it was after Christmas, but
and had a lot of fun.
New
He said,
Year's.
"Wow, that's a lot of vacations. That's a lot of places." You gotta understand something. As we mentioned,
Spring
my
back,
parents
spring
have a
back.
home here, so that's $0 coming down here
$0.
for lodging. A lot of times we drive straight through, and so we usually get food for groceries.
Brady's chasing us.
We get food for groceries. We're going to do that anyway at home, and we try to save throughout the year, of course, to go on different excursions. In 19, our plan was not to come to Florida. We were going to go. B-Dog just joined us. We were going to go to New England. My wife found out though. She's pregnant for the 3rd time. 9-year gap.
9-year gap.
So
big
she
gap.
did not want to go anywhere other than coming
Florida,
here.
just like when she was pregnant with me.
So we waited till after the babe was born, and we decided on her maternity leave, 8 weeks maternity leave, that we were going to come here. So we came here for 2 weeks this past October.
We had to actually do schoolwork there.
And,
We had to type
wake up,
some
do
of our
schoolwork.
assignments.
It was great though.
It was great.
He and I went to Islands of Adventure.
We had a lot of fun.
B-Man is not a big music park guy,
So he didn't want to come.
He opted not to go. He stayed here.
Yeah.
And
Decided to
we
stay.
did that. We started out 2020, and our plan was not to come to Florida again. Not that we don't like it, but we had decided we've been here several times. We want to go to new places.
The plan was to go to New England.
Yeah, and we had went to New
We've been
England
there before.
one time in
But
2011.
only for a week. No, we went twice, right?
No, just once.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I feel like we went twice.
No,
No,
just once
Okay.
to New England. So that we're going to do that this summer. Of course, the unpleasantness, COVID, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, broke out in March of this. We actually were going to go in March to
We were
Disney.
going to go in March to Disney for an entire
Forgot about
week,
that.
just
We
like-
had a Disney vacation plan beginning on March 22nd of this year, 2020. And of course, they closed. You're going to have to sit down, buddy. They closed, which canceled our trip. And we opted to come back here now. But, so that's where we stand. we're getting ready to go home. This is the middle of 2020, summer of 2020. Final day of this vacation. We love Lakeland, Florida. It is a beautiful city of about 75,000, I believe. I believe the county, Polk County, is one of the top 4 largest counties in Florida. And we have been here. We've kind of stayed secluded. We haven't went out too much due to the unpleasantness.
We went to Disney Springs.
We did go to Disney Springs. That was really the only story
We went to
visited.
some filming locations.
But those were outside, nobody around. We wore masks, we did all that. And so we're going home. Where do we go from here when it comes to Florida? When will we be back? We don't have a plan right now.
We're hoping to come back either later this year or next spring break.
More than likely it'll be in 2021. We want to get that Disney trip in that we
next year
promised these guys 2 years to do.
Yes, let's explain that.
Explain
our plan, so I guess I'll leave this part. So our plan was, after our trip to Disney and Universal for just a day each in 2018, at Christmas they surprised me and Brady. Well, I was very excited about it, but Brady was not. Once again, he's not a very big fan of theme parks because he doesn't like riding rides very well. He'd rather stay home and play video games or watch television. But they surprised us and said that they gave us this envelope and some different things. They give some baggage tags that have Mickey on them, things like that. I'm going to cut to the chase for this part. They said we're going to go to Disney World for 5 days. Our plan was to go to Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, and then Magic Kingdom again. That's no specific order there. That
was supposed to take place the first
2019
time.
spring break
in March.
Were they? Yeah.
Like we mentioned, my wife found out she was pregnant in January.
Yep.
She wasn't going to want to go to Disney World for a week, especially can't really ride anything super exciting, pregnant. So we let these guys down and said, you know what, we'll go next spring break.
Yep. So, So eventually we did get to come to a theme park. We went to Islands of Adventure. I had a lot of fun that day. Oh, we're getting ready to get sprayed by a sprinkler. So
woohoo!
That
Awesome,
felt really
that's
nice.
a sprinkler.
That felt really nice.
Yes.
All right, so let me cut the chase on this one. So in 2020 came around and we said we're gonna go to Disney, and then all this unpleasantness.
We had our magic bands already.
We had our magic bands.
Counting
they're,
the days down.
They're right now sitting in our basement in the Emporium.
Yeah.
We were counting down the days. We were so excited. About a week or so before then, this stuff hit. They canceled school, Disney closed, and we said we're gonna have to wait. We were hoping to do it later this year, but it probably won't happen until probably next spring break. So 2 years without it happening.
But we will be instead going 5 days at Disney.
We were originally gonna go 5 days, and no, that's not true.
We'll see what happens.
Yep.
We could have went for maybe a day this trip if the cases had really went up in Florida. Once they started going up, we said forget it. Plus, you got the mask mandate, which is fine. We understand that.
Yep.
But we're just not excited about being here in July with a mask, paying the big dollars to go to a park. So we opted, well, you know what, we'll do this.
Yeah.
Hopefully when this passes.
It was really hard at Disney Springs even.
I'm not
After a
saying
little
we
while
wouldn't
it
go
started. Yeah.
with a mask.
I would.
But we just weren't excited about it.
Do you think that's the end?
That's it.
All right.
That's kind of our history of Lakeland, Florida, Central Florida.
Yeah, maybe on our next trip we
family.
might update you on some new parts of the history that
The COVID game, I was actually looking forward to flying the Millennium Falcon and doing all that.
Yeah.
We started getting excited for it.
But
and then no trip.
Thanks for watching today's video on our history of Florida. We will see you tomorrow morning because tomorrow is our first day back on the road on the way back home. So we'll see you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, comment, tell us what you thought of it, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so that you know when our next videos come out. Oh, that fan is moving up there. I saw the bottom. Never mind. So thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow where we embark on our trek back home. What? Oh, because I said bark. Okay, well, thank you, and see you tomorrow.